Hello everyone, it is Kelsey from HIITBURN.com and we have a very special guest with us today. We have Eric Gittenstein from MF Tasty Food Cart here in Portland, Oregon. We're really excited because he's going to cook some amazing dishes for us today.
Today's recipe is sweet potato hummus with roasted cauliflower wedges and escabeche, which is just a fancy way of saying spicy pickles.
So excited.
All right, so we're gonna break down some sweet potatoes. Really big thing to do with this, since we're boiling them, it helps to keep a pot with a little bit of water readily available. So once you peel them, you chop them, you put them in, it helps them not oxidize if you get distracted and sitting out. Same idea with any potato, anything like that. If you gotta boil them or just have it ready, it saves you a lot of time to get a better product. So peeler, sweet potato, don't drop it. So all we're doing is just getting all the skin off. And then once we got that done, we're just gonna chop it into smaller sizes. Basically, you're not really going for anything pretty for what you're chopping it into. You just wanna do it into chunks that are evenly sized. And the reason for that is if it's all evenly sized, then it's gonna cook at the same time. If you have a big chunk and a little chunk, then you're either gonna have a really undercooked big chunk and some gross tiny thing. Just really makes it easier to keep it consistent. Cool. All right, so we're all peeled. Clean up the cutting board. I'm gonna chop some stuff. So like I said, just working into sizes that are even. Also, it can be a little daunting trying to chop through a big thing like that. I would cut it in half and then break down from there. Like I said, just going for chunks. You want something that can lay flat on your cutting board. So as you saw when I was trying to break that, it kind of rocked back and forth. It's a really easy way to cut yourself. Make sure things are flat. It's a lot safer. Then just doing some big chunks. Nothing too crazy size. Goes right in the water. Makes that super unsexy sound, but also leaves you with a cleaner product. And sometimes half is not good enough, so something like this. I'm just gonna chop it. Second time, same deal. It's just to have that workable size that you can work with. All right, so we've got the chopped sweet potatoes, putting them on to boil. Let's turn on high. Ignore it till it's soft. Regular onion. Easiest way to work on it is you want to cut the root and the top off so you can have it flat on your workspace. Then all you're gonna do, chop it in half. Top layer is usually the skin, which is gonna taste super bitter, and I would not recommend using that. And we're just gonna cut into shape. So all you do, some people get mad, they don't like the noise of this. It can be kind of loud. Also, if you don't know how to do that, you should probably look at what you're cutting. Other way to do this is just a straight slice. It's a little less noise. It'll still give you the same product. And so, either way, we got sliced onions. Okay, so we're breaking down a big head of cauliflower and we're gonna roast this off, and this is gonna be kind of our dipping vessel for the sweet potato hummus. You can go about this a couple ways. You can sit here and kind of pull these guys off, but as you can see, they give a little bit of resistance, and it's really easier to get rid of them once you chop everything. So same deal. Theme of everything is safe working space. So we got it flat now, and then you kind of just run the knife underneath. Takes the base off, and then these guys are way easier to peel. The big thing here too is since we're roasting wedges, they're gonna be a dipping vessel. What I try and do is still keep it intact, so when it roasts, it has a little bit more body, you can kind of pick it up. So all we're doing is just slicing it into wedges, but you see this piece is still here, so it can kind of be held together. And sometimes you'll get like pieces like this where it's just a chunk, way too much stem. It's still doable. You just need to do a little bit more finesse on it. And it's still okay to get like a big chunk like that. Okay, next thing that we're gonna do for the hummus is jalapenos. They're going in the spicy pickles. We have two. So I'm gonna slice them two different ways. Basically, one way is gonna keep the seeds in, which will give you a lot more heat. So if you like spicy, I recommend doing that way. If you're a little bit more spice averse, then we're gonna show you a second way where you can peel it, cut it into strips, I mean, it's still gonna have some heat because it's a jalapeno, but you're not gonna have the full heat because there's no seeds. So, same deal, sharp knife with seeds. Everything's just getting sliced into a disc. It's gonna, say, I don't know, like 1/8 of an inch. You want it to have a little bit of body left because when it cooks in your pickling liquid, things are gonna shrink a little bit. So you wanna factor that in. Other way is gonna be without, and so really all you do is you take the stem off because no one wants to eat that. And this is kind of a little advanced method version, but you're gonna slice in, cut it in half, and then what's gonna happen is you have the membrane and everything here. Make it flat, run your knife through that without getting into the flesh. No seeds. And then you're just gonna slice it into some fun strips. It'll still cook out and pickle, and it'll like have a little bit more body, so when you plate it, it will look a lot prettier, but it won't be as spicy. Also make sure to wash your hands after you're done with this if you have to go to the bathroom, because you might have a not fun surprise. 2 different types, spicier, less spicier, up to you. We're gonna do some carrots. You can tack this a couple different ways. Really, it's how you want it to visually look. Do you want like big ribbons for these pickles so you can have kind of like a nice dollop on top? Do you want slices or chunks so it just like scoops up a little bit better? Same deal, I'll cut them a couple different ways. You decide what you want. If you do have some nice carrots like this, you notice these guys did come with the stems. These are awesome for salads as well as like an herb decoration on top. Basically every Instagram worthy thing where it's like celery leaves, things like this. This with a tweezer on top all of a sudden looks a lot more beautiful. You look like a cool chef. So anyways, these are just gonna get ripped off. We're gonna hold on to them for later. We're gonna pick through any of the gross ones and save a few for our garnish. So I'm just gonna put this off to the side for now. And then these guys, same deal. We went with a rainbow mix. It just is visually more appealing. Like these guys are awesome. You slice into them. You got like 4 different colors in it. Same deal, working usable sizes. You can peel them. I'm not gonna do it on these. I think they have a little bit more nutritional value when you keep the skin on. Also, I just like the texture in a pickle with this. So we got some cool guys right there. Just for the sake of information, we'll see what it looks like peeled. So you can run through, you do these light ribbons. Once again, smaller is gonna cook out more, so you're not gonna have as much bite back when you do it, but it's something that you can do. So you can peel all the way through, get these ribbons. Once again, it's just really stacking it, looks cool. It's awesome for salads also. The rest of these, I think I'm just gonna chop up for the sake of time. Maybe we'll save these as a garnish. Also, if you're wondering how I chop like this, basically what you do with your hand that's not holding the knife is you pretend like you're holding like a baseball or golf ball, something where your hand is on the cutting board, creating a barrier, and then you're resting your blade against that. So as you move your hand, the blade follows. And then I can look at the camera and talk to all you guys while I do this and make some carrots fly. Last thing is, I think we're just gonna chop some parsley, do that for our garnish. Just basic flat leaf Italian parsley. There's the curly variety as well. This is really a textural thing. You can go about this a couple ways. If you really want to get super fine dining about it, you can sit here all day chatting with your partner as you pick this stuff off. But honestly, as long as it is a firm, like fresh bunch of parsley, you can still add the stems in. It's just gonna give a little bit different flavor. Really what you want is how you're gonna go about it. But we're gonna chop it up. I'm gonna add the stems in. It's really about just making sure that you chop it really, really fine. Because if you get like a chunk of unchopped stem, it can be a little overpowering. So anyways, same deal. Just wrap it into a ball. Slicing it down, super tiny, going through, get rid of some unusable pieces, and then we're just gonna rotate it chop it again. And you just keep bringing it back together to make sure that it gets mixed a little bit and that you're not chopping the same surface over and over again. All right, chop parsley. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna make the sweet potato hummus as well as our spicy pickles. So in this pan, what we're gonna do is we have medium-high heat, a little bit of blended oil, and same thing, we're just gonna give it a sec to kind of get a sheen on it. And then we have our carrots and onions and jalapenos that we chopped before. So these are just gonna go in. And basically you just want these to cook out. You can add a little bit more oil just because we're adding a lot of product. And you actually want it to distribute evenly. A whole bunch of carrots. So what's gonna happen with this is these are gonna cook down a little bit. We're gonna add some spices. We just got some Mexican oregano here. Everything's gonna kind of toast in and give a little bit more depth of flavor. And then we got a little bit of cumin and coriander. We're just gonna keep these whole. You can buy the ground stuff, totally fine to do so. And you know, in this application, it might even be very helpful, but really we just want like a little bit of spice in there. And we're gonna be adding liquid that's gonna be kind of deglazing that and pulling the spices away, so you're not gonna get like a giant chunk of anything in. It's just really more to season and flavor the components. So give this guy a quick flip. You can see jalapenos are already getting a little bit vibrant green. That's when you're gonna know to add your vinegar. I have a squeeze bottle. You don't need a squeeze bottle. You just need some vinegar. This one we're using red wine vinegar. So this is gonna cook in. Want enough to cover everything. And then, you know, if you want, you can add like a tiny pinch of brown sugar, which I am, kind of combat the bitterness. It's also gonna kind of help everything caramelize down. And then we're gonna be good to go. All right, so a little bit of that. Basically, it's gonna reduce cookout. Once the brown sugar is incorporated, what I recommend you do is just let this set in a container overnight in your fridge, and it's gonna kind of finish the pickling process. It's gonna cool down, and you're gonna get a better product than you do if you rush it. We have our potatoes here. You can either use a colander to drain them, or if you're feeling really good about yourself, you can kind of just take some tongs, put it in there. All right, so we got our sweet potatoes. I have a can of garbanzo beans. If you want to cook them dried, you can. It's just gonna be a little bit more time consuming. These guys have been drained. They're gonna go in. The one thing that I did do is I saved the liquid that the garbanzos are in, because if you need to thin this dish out, it's better to use some water that actually already has the garbanzo flavoring in it, so you don't kind of make it bland as you get the texture you want. So we got this. This is the base. A little bit of smoked paprika. Little goes a long way. It's gonna go out of the way. Juice of a lemon for our citrus component. Olive oil we'll finish this with. All right, so we turn the blender on. This is a fancy blender. And then if you do have one of these plungers, it can kind of help push everything around. All right, so we got our base for this. The only other things I'm gonna add are a little bit of tahini, which is a sesame paste. It's a big base for any hummus, as well as a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and then we'll thin it out with the liquid, and we got some hummus. All right, so we got our can of tahini. Biggest thing with this is this separates, so make sure you stir it, otherwise you will get like a giant chunk and some liquid, and it'll leave you with not the best product. So this goes in. Hit it again on the blender. So at this point, I'm just checking consistency, and I can see that it's a little thick, so we're gonna add some of this liquid. Give it another go. Just like a tiny bit of extra virgin olive oil. And really, we're good to go. At this point, we're just tasting it to make sure that it tastes right and it's a texture we're happy with, and that's that. All right, so we got all the stuff ready for our hummus. Now we just gotta plate it. Best use with this, once it's cooled down, I would let it set overnight or just for a few hours just so you're not eating warm hummus. Either way, bowl for that, plate for all we're dipping on. So we're just gonna pour this guy in. So it's got that creamy texture. You know, if you had this sitting in your fridge overnight, it will probably look a little bit more solid, which is not a bad thing. It just will, you know, have a different contrast. So really all we're doing is we're just gonna put a bunch of stuff on top of this, and then we're gonna have our dipping element on a different plate. So these are some cauliflower wedges. Just threw them in the oven about 350 for roughly an hour. Just sea salt and a little bit of olive oil, and that's that. And then you just get a nice char off of it. Here we have our pickles. Basically, once they're done cooking in there, you let them set overnight, kind of amplifies the flavor. Now we can plate with it. So everything comes out. Just put a little bit on top. Tiny garnish of the smoked paprika. And then we just got a little bit of parsley that we're gonna throw on. Tiny pinch of sea salt. Do a little bit on this too, why not? And then just a quick float, some extra virgin olive oil. And when I was talking about earlier about saving the carrot fronds, you can just do that as a garnish. So I'm just gonna throw a few on there. Got yourself some sweet potato hummus.
All right, so we have our sweet potato hummus and our cauliflower ready to go. So let's give it a try.
Go for it.
Wow. It has like a really good sweetness to it, probably from the sweet potatoes, but still is savory, and the spicy pickles with it is just like the perfect addition. So make sure you try this one at home. You do not want to miss this. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us in this episode today, and thank you, Eric, for this incredible recipe. We love it, it's so good, and make sure you try this one out. It's so good. So make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our daily videos. And if you're ever in Portland, Oregon, make sure you find Eric at his food cart, MF Tasty. We'll leave some information down below for you so you can check him out. Thanks so much for joining today, and we'll see you soon.